Now, I wear this hat for 3 reasons. I wear this hat, number 1, because I look fabulous. The second reason I wear this hat is because it makes other people smile. And that's an important part of who I am. You know, I've always been one of these people who always looked at the glass as half full, and I've always been the kind of person who's just, you know, naturally enthusiastic. And I think that's what they look for when they go and interview people for physical therapy school, as I went to in Ohio State. And any Buckeyes in the room? All right, there we go. She's the one with the great looking shoes. Check them out later. Okay. Now, pay attention. Do not get intimidated, because what I want you to do is look around, find a pair of shoes that are somehow similar to yours. I don't care how, but go look at shoes and find your soulmate. And then what I'd like you to do is go ahead and spend a little bit of time chatting with them and sharing why you chose the hat that you chose, of course, who you are.
And I go, oh my God. A pigeon from one of the trees has pooped on my head, down my cheek, on my $800 suit. So about that time, I'm standing there going, oh. Susan comes out. I said, Susan, I think I have a problem. And she said, it would appear. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, I think probably we ought to abort. She said, oh, no, you're not aborting. And I said, well, okay, if I can't abort, Susan Small went her to the stars, I will go into the restroom and I'll get some of this off. Well, I don't know if you've ever had to try to get pigeon poop out of your hair, but when you attempt that, you know, I've got wet fingers and I'm pulling and it's just spreading everywhere. So then I get a tissue or something and I'm trying to get it off. Well, it's spreading everywhere. Did get it off my cheek. So I go back out to Susan and I say, Susan, this is the best it's going to be. And I said, surely we're not going to go on to the meeting. She said, yes, we are. We're going to go to the meeting. And not only that, I'm going to introduce you around to all of the top producers. And she said, the reason why we're going to do this is that shit happens. And she said, furthermore, when shit happens, you are going to perceive. And you are going to lift your head up. And you are going to do just great today. And I have thought about that 1,000 million times since that day. There's very little you can throw at me that I won't handle. That's what's up.
You remember your first job? Doesn't necessarily have to be your first job with this organization or within this, confines of this particular line of work, but whatever your first job was, I want you to think back to it. Because I'm going to suggest that you remember your first job for one of 3 reasons. You remember your first job, 1, because you learned something about yourself in that first job. Or, number 2, you might have met somebody who changed your life in that first job. Or number 3, you remember your first job because from that first job you decided you never ever wanted to do that again. So sure enough, this little lady had broken her hip 2 days before, had hip repair surgery. I'm going in to see her the day after her surgery because I'm trying to prevent complications that can set in if you don't get people up quick enough to just get them rehabilitated. So sure enough, I knew what I had to do. I'd gotten the paperwork. You guys are familiar with paperwork. You know, all the T's have got to be crossed and all the I's have got to be dotted. So there I was, I'd gotten the information pretty much from the chart, went down to the room to get the rest of the information and be able to create some rapport with this little old lady that I was going to have to get out of bed. Rapport building, an important part of your job? Absolutely, absolutely. So there I was, I knock on the door, a little voice from inside the room says, come in. And as I walk into the room, I noticed 2 things. I noticed, first of all, her bed is up as high as it can go toward the ceiling. I'm a little concerned, but then I realize that all of her bed rails are off, so she's perfectly safe. The second thing I notice as I approach her bed is that her hairdresser has done an amazing job of matching her hair color to her brilliant blue eyes. I was getting a little bit of information from her, but what I realized is I was not creating any rapport with her because she still looked very scared. I will show you how much she moved as I entered the room and even started having conversations with her. And this is how much she moved. Ready? Eyeballs. Eyeballs were the only thing that moved over here because this is the side of the bed I was approaching her from. She moved nothing else because she didn't want to move anything that was attached to this hip that had been repaired that could hurt if she moved around. So as it happened, she was in that position, and I'm thinking, oh, obviously I'm still in trouble because she's not relaxed. So I don't know about you, but I believe in a power, and sometimes what this power does is it has words come out of my mouth before they ever process through my brain. Have you ever been there? So there I was in this moment of brilliance saying to this little old lady who was like this in the bed, oh, by the way, Miss Hollahan, why is your bed up so high? Now, it was strictly something that came out of my mouth. I didn't know where it came from, and obviously she was not moving enough to have put her bed in that position. But when I asked her the question about why her bed was up so high, it intrigued her enough. She actually picked her head up off the pillow. She looked over at me, and as she put her head back in the pillow, she said, "The Lord's coming to get me, and I don't want him to have to come so far." Okay, now this is not good news for me, okay? I turned to her to reassure her, and what I saw, after she put her head back in the pillow, was that her eyes were closed. Her hair now looked like a halo around her head, and she was real, real pale. And you have that kind of heart-stopping moment. You think, oh, is she okay? And I knew CPR, and of course I was the director of physical therapy, so I knew I couldn't call for help because that would be awfully embarrassing that I couldn't handle the situation if she was okay. But I knew CPR, and I knew I had to get close enough. Anybody taking CPR to okay, look, listen, and feel, right? You got to get your face down right there where they are so you can make sure that they're okay. So I got down there really close, and all of a sudden she popped open those big blue eyes. She stuck her finger up close to my nose, and she said, "I gotcha." Oh yeah, she got me good. She knew I was young and naive, and I just asked her a really dumb question. But she had the wherewithal to go ahead and take my leg and pull it, even though she was the one in the bed with a broken hip. So she taught me an amazing lesson about the power of humor. Awesome down. Did you notice the awesome down? Okay.